Joey, another spooky season episode, pal.
Yep.
Not your realm.
Definitely not.
I feel like we've done this before.
We might have.
Oh, the inside jokes. So, this is actually another one. Just a little spoiler alert that has no origin before the actual story takes place. So we're going to get into that, because I'll use your skepticism in this episode. Almost 5 years in, are you still a skeptic? Still, you don't believe?
I got to see something. I got to see it.
Okay, that's valid though.
Or I gotta be attacked by something that I didn't see. Pretty much, and then I'm like, all right, I'm all in.
That's how.
Give me the cross. Give me the holy water.
That's how most people are. You have to actually physically see something to be a believer. I wasn't a believer in any of this stuff until I saw a UFO. And put a little side talk episode out the other day.
That's my realm, baby. I can get down with some UFO
you can get
talk.
Down with
that I believe, because it's out there. I mean, you could just take a look up in the sky and be like, yep, there's a lot of shit out there.
I did a side talk episode with my dad the other day. It was a pop-up episode, a little extra, and he did a good job. And he said something towards the end of the episode. He says, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yep.
And there's an old saying by it was Dan Garcia, the guy who passed away from the Annabelle doll. I think it was Dan Garcia. Mm-hmm. Or Dan Rivera. And he has a quote that says, you don't believe in evil, but evil believes in you. That's deep. That's deep. And we've been seeing a lot of evil in the last few weeks. Won't get into it, but there's a lot of crazy shit going on.
Yeah, man.
A lot of crazy stuff.
You know what's crazy is
it's coming.
People that do evil things in the face or in the name of like they think they're doing something that's like good for humanity in the face of or just committing an evil act. It just blows my mind. Like no, that's bad. You don't do that.
The events of the last few weeks have actually made me come up with a really good side talk episode that I want to get into. That's kind of biblical. That people ask, why do bad things happen to good people?
Yeah.
And I have a real good premise of everything that's been going on to do a really good side talk episode and get into it for like 15 to 20 minutes. A little biblical, a little religious, but speaking of evil, this is one of the more evil paranormal stories that we're covering today. And I'm surprised because we haven't covered this 5 years and there's so much more to do. The job is not done.
Well,
but we're talking today. You think about Tennessee, think about country music, think about the bar scene, think about the yeehaws, think about open fields, cornfields, you think about just country as can be. Elvis, right? Was he like a Tennessee kind of guy?
I don't know. Maybe.
Sounds about right. I don't know. We can go with it.
I don't know.
Oh. But you don't think about possibly one of the most profound ghost stories in the world of the paranormal, and that is the Bell Witch, which when I did the episode with Bobby, the spooky season pregame episode, I did tell everybody that the Bell Witch is in fact not a witch. This is the name that was derived from the paranormal occurrences, and we're going to get into it today. Look at this.
Some notes, maybe.
More notes.
Little Nick notes action.
Nick's in memory of Nick's notes. Can we get a moment of silence for Nick? Okay. All right. Oh, Nick is fine, by the way. We're just because he's, we miss him. So just every time I break out the notes, which will probably be the entirety of spooky season, we think about Nick because Nick used to come handwritten notes, read through them, pages of pages.
Some good research.
And the penmanship on Nick.
Yeah.
You could tell he's a teacher.
It was not ChatGPT.
It was not ChatGPT. Not at all. ChatGPT did help, but I actually dived into most of this.
Okay.
I did. That's how I knew the Andrew Jackson thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, really? The president was involved in this book?
Now, is this just a name, the Bell Witch, that they gave her? Or is does the bell have anything to do with the witch? Like Taco Bell? Has you ring a bell and then this witch appears?
No, it's nothing Beetlejuice-esque or Bloody Mary-esque. It was just a name that was given to the entity because of the last name of the family that moved into this place.
Bingo.
Last names. That's what it is. But let's set the scene here. So the story will begin in the 1800s. So
I'm just distracted by all this stuff.
Don't worry, buddy. It's all
what stuff do we have back here now?
like Five Below stuff. Five Below. There's nothing from them.
Shout out to Five Below.
Yeah, Five
if
Below.
You're watching this, sponsor us.
He says most of your stuff here. I was like, how can I make the background look nice? I've got to Five Below around this time last year, and just that's all the stuff. So, shout out to Mama Dukes though. She set that up.
Nice.
She did. She's got this artistic. I posted something that she made for a little Halloween thing that she's doing at work, a competition. She made the book from Hocus Pocus.
Oh, cool.
She made or I'll pull it up, her own picture of the book. She wrote it and did Emily Banks.
Everybody's watched that movie a zillion times.
If you haven't seen that movie, you live under a rock. But this takes place in the early 1800s when John Bell Sr. and his wife Lucy moved his family from North Carolina to a farmland, Red River in northern Tennessee. So he wanted to move from North Carolina to Tennessee. So at the time, North Carolina wasn't the place to be, because everybody I know is moving to North Carolina. Anywho, so now is also known as Adams, Tennessee. So the land was rich, fertile, perfect for farming. For more than a decade, John Bell and his family prospered, became a respected farmer, father, and a church deacon. So he was pretty holy. But in the summer of 1817, something changed that would turn their quiet, nice little family living into a complete horror show. The first encounter started with John Bell walking through the cornfields when he saw an animal that he could not describe accurately. But what he did describe was a dog with a rabbit's head. And before he can finally capture the image with his own eyes, he literally saw it disappear into the cornfield. So he saw it for a second, enough to say that was a dog with a rabbit's head, and then it went right into the cornfield. Now, let's see how good. Let's do some paranormal quiz here. Paranormal IQ. To the skeptic over here. You've been on the podcast long enough. A animal with a dog body with a rabbit head. An animal that doesn't look as it should.
Cryptid?
It is. You can classify it as a cryptid, so I'll give you that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you name the entity or the Native American being that people would call this, that are privy to the paranormal? Let's see if Joey gets this.
Can we cue some Jeopardy music? Copyright.
I could. When we edit the video, I can throw some of that in there. But go ahead. Let's see if you get this.
Man,
I would love to know if you can get this.
Did we cover this?
I'll give you a clue.
Okay.
What people would know, that people that are privy to this would call this. I'll give you a word. Ranch.
Oh yeah. There's a show.
Ranch. Look at me. What am I touching?
Skinwalker.
Uh-huh.
So it's a skinwalker.
Yes. So skinwalkers apparently can shapeshift. Mm-hmm. Now, skinwalkers are actually a person that have this demonic powers or abilities. And when they shapeshift, they actually don't shapeshift correctly. So like if you see a deer, and this is in particular areas. It's not.
Yeah.
This is like middle east of the United States, Tennessee. So this is not in skinwalker territory per se, but skinwalkers commonly shapeshift and do not take the image fully. So they'll be at 90%. They've shapeshift into a deer, but something's off. I don't know if you've ever seen Pokemon.
Yeah.
The best way to describe it, in the original Pokemon, the original 150, there was a Pokemon named Ditto. And Ditto can transform into any Pokemon, but the face would never transform the right way. He would always have like a two dot for eyes, 2 dots, and just a straight line smile. Pokemon reference.
So you could figure it out.
You could figure it out. It wasn't a real Pokemon. It was Ditto transformed. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the analogy I'm giving for Skinwalker. So before he could react to that, it went into the cornfield and disappeared. Now, in that same season, his children began reporting other strange sights. A large bird perched on a fence that looked far bigger than any turkey or vulture they had ever seen. A girl in green swinging from a tree branch who vanished when they approached. Soon after, the sounds came. Scratching, tapping, gnawing noises inside the walls in the house at night. At first, the family thought it was rats, but no rats were ever found. Then came the pounding sounds, loud enough to shake the wood of the cabin. Chains that they heard dragging through the floors. Sheets were pulled from the sleeping children, and sometimes invisible things tugged at the children's hairs, pinched their arms, and in some cases, even slapped their faces, leaving marks on them. So this is one of the accounts of a entity actually getting physical with the residents of the house or the cabin, because this was a cabin that they were in.
They built this cabin?
So here's the thing about this, which I alluded to a little while ago. There is no history, yet again, just like the Hinsdale house, there is no history prior to the Bells moving here.
I mean, if they moved in there in the 1800s, it's like wait, I mean, it wouldn't essentially be wasteland, but it's just forest, right? Like it's just.
So the theories are, and we can jump to this because we're on the question. The theory is for this is that this is some type of Native American burial ground again, right? Again, Native American burial ground. This is cursed land. Just in general, cursed land, forbidden, can't go here.
Kind of like ground is sour.
Just like you said with Pet Cemetery, you were giving the Pet Cemetery analogy for the Hinsdale house. It's just ground that has powers. So that's what people think why this stuff was happening to the Bell family.
This house is still up today, like this cabin?
Good question. That I don't know. I think I read that they recreated the cave, the Bell Witch cave, and the cabin. I don't.
And they generally know the area where it was, right?
In general, that's from what I was reading. I mean, you can always check.
I'm not going there.
Not going there?
No.
We don't have to go to Tennessee. I'm just asking you to go on your phone. As the months went on, the unseen forces became bolder. The family's youngest daughter, Betsy Bell, BB for short, became a primary target. She was often pulled from her bed, pinched until she cried, and sometimes left with red handprints across her face. Eventually, the entity found its voice. At first, it was very faint, a whisper that no one can quite make out. Joey, come to the Hinsdale house with Billy. And then it grew stronger and clearer until it was unmistakable. A woman's voice, harsh and mocking, calling herself Kate. So now the entity has given a name. Now, no demonic entity would ever give its real name because then it's easy for it to be exorcised.
It's Katy Perry.
Katy Perry.
She came back.
She was there.
She went in the past.
The whole time.
Yep.
This was her from the get-go.
I don't doubt it.
I actually wouldn't doubt it. That children's blood keep alive for a long time,
Listen.
So now we go to the neighbors and the witnesses that were around the cabin. Now, honestly, they wasn't really, neighbors like, hey, we're in this basement recording. We can go outside. There's a house literally attached to this house, but not like that at that time, obviously. Still to this day, you go to Tennessee, houses are spread apart by hundreds of feet, sometimes miles. The haunting didn't stay within the Bell household. Neighbors who came and heard all of the events came there and heard the same knocking sounds, the same voices. Word spread as soon as the Bell family became a topic of conversation. It attracted everybody for the paranormal attention.
Sounds like somebody in the family was running their mouth.
I think it just got out. They don't know how it got out. They probably left their house. People passing by on horse and carriage are like, hey, what's going on? There's a ghost in this house. I swear to God, my daughter Betsy woke up with 5 handprints across her face, and I can't imagine why.
I don't even know if they had those accents back then.
I just going with some kind of country accent, My daughter Betsy here had 5 handprints across her face, and damn near it wasn't me. So it was either that damn ghost Kate, or my wife got a little drunk and Got a little handsy with Betsy.
I wonder what they sound like in the 1800s. I feel like it's more English.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, my daughter Betsy woke up this morning from the comfort of her resting place
It
and
has to
had,
be. They're colonizers, right?
she had 5 fingers across her face. And by God, it was not me.
Yeah, that was you, man. I don't know about that. That was definitely you.
This is just, I don't know what they sounded like, but this was down south, and I would assume more of a country-esque accent, especially during the 1800s. I don't
This
know.
guy had to come up with a story because he was beating his wife and kids, maybe.
You know what? We would have an authority group that would definitely look that up.
You know, it kind of reminds me of that movie. What was that movie? The one like in Connecticut. What was it? Like
Haunting in Connecticut?
Maybe.
That's actually a TV show.
No, it's not a TV show.
Or maybe a movie too.
It's definitely a movie. Something in Connecticut. I think it was. Yeah, I'm not gonna get it, but this definitely it was a big movie, like a blockbuster movie.
I've seen so many documentaries of haunted Connecticut. I don't know.
And like the family thought the whole place was haunted, etc. But it turns out the father was like, like doing horrible things to his family or something like that.
Well, now the members of the community, even outsiders, came to witness the phenomenon. According to the lore, the witch could repeat sermons she had overheard miles away, mimicking voices of strangers and carry on intelligent conversation with visitors. She sang hymns, told jokes, and argued with over theology with preachers. Now that right there sounds like a demon. See, demons want to lure you in by impersonating loved ones, making you think that it's someone that you've lost, a friend, a family member. They can hear things. This is saying that they heard these preachers from miles away coming to visit the house, that they could recite certain things that they heard, drawing you in with lies to make you believe it's something else, when in fact, it's a demon. Demon, Sammy!
These damn demons. Kind of, that sounds like, what's that movie that just came out? Conjuring? No, it's not The Conjuring. Is it the new Conjuring?
Conjuring, Last Rites.
Yeah, I just saw it.
How was it?
It was okay.
Yeah, it's...
But it was like, like demons, they do that. You know what I mean?
This is a telltale case of like demons
They
doing
like
this.
call to you and you're like, oh, that's definitely my mom.
Giving them-
let me go to that room and find out.
They gave John Bell
What she wants.
completely different name. Kate's definitely not the name of this entity. No entity, no demon would give its real name. So right there, from that point, it's dwindling on the idea of a demon. One of the famous guests, this is a pretty cool one to our history buffs out there. One famous guest was actually General Andrew Jackson, later the 17th president of the United States. Jackson and his men reportedly visited the Bell farm to investigate. They overheard the accounts. They wanted to investigate the legend of the Bell Witch, but approaching the house or the cabin, the horses stopped in the road and refused to move until Jackson declared that he had seen enough. This detail is debated, but has become part of the Bell Witch lore. Now, if this is true, Andrew Jackson went there on his horses and the horses stopped. Of course, in the lore of paranormal, animals are more perceptive to paranormal activity. So on this road, they stopped at the house, like miles, like half a mile away, and we're like, no, we're not going there. Something's not right. We're not going. We're not taking another step. And at that point, Andrew Jackson, this is all allegedly, Andrew Jackson said, all right, I've seen enough. Well, she really didn't see anything. He just saw the horses stop. So that's like 1800 traffic jam.
This guy's like, I'm turning around. I'm doing the 3-month trek back without even getting to the location.
Wherever he was going next. So now the question is, why is this all happening? We don't really know what was there prior. He was a deacon, so he was coming from a holiness. So he was a good man. When you say deacon or priest or father or sister, or pastor, you're thinking good things. So why is this happening? The voice who claimed to be Kate had a grudge against John Bell. Some versions of the story say John cheated Kate Batts, a neighbor, in a land deal, and that her spirit swore revenge. Remember, this didn't happen until like a couple of years later, several years later, that this paranormal activity happened. Now, Kate is also not a factual part of this story.
All right, so now we got a story. Now he screwed over a woman named Kate out of her property.
All allegedly.
Allegedly,
because Kate is something that came about through future research. So this, you can't really pinpoint it. This is like a theory. Whether it was truly Kate Batts or not, the entity hatred for John Bell was clear. She cursed him relentlessly, vowing to kill him. She also tormented Betsy, discouraging her relationship with a young man named Joshua Gardner.
Maybe he killed her for the property.
No. Maybe not. I don't think so. I think she just cheated. But this is, again, allegedly. Each time Betsy tried to move forward with her engagement, the attacks grew worse. Eventually, Betsy broke off the engagement entirely, reportedly at the witch's urging. So Betsy not only gets 5 fingers across the face, she can't even get married because of this demonic entity. Now we go into John Bell's decline. Now he's in this house. All this stuff is happening. They have not moved out. John is still there. Betsy's still getting slapped. Not a lot of things happening to the other parts of the family, except them getting pulled out of bed and blankets getting tugged. Not a lot of reports of what happened to his wife. But as years passed on, John Bell's health began to fail. He experienced facial spasms, difficulty swallowing, and episodes of paralysis. Now, what that translates to me, and I am no Doogie Howser, and you're probably too young to even know who Doogie Howser is. Joey and I
I'm
are.
not.
Yeah. It sounds like Parkinson's. When you start getting Parkinson's disease, obviously back then no one knew what Parkinson's was, but that sounds like Parkinson's disease, like he was going through Parkinson's. So difficulty swallowing, episodes of paralysis. Doctors could not explain what was happening. Obviously at that time no one knew what Parkinson's disease was. Mm-hmm. The witch mocked him through it all, promising that she would be the one to end him. In December of 1820, John Bell was found near death. A strange vial of black liquid was discovered in the house. When a drop was placed on the tongue of the family cat, the animal convulsed and died instantly. The witch's voice rang out in triumph, claiming that he had poisoned him. John Bell died on December 20th, 1820, and during his funeral, the witch reportedly sang loudly, laughing and taunting the grieving family.
So now, if I'm a detective and I work for the NYPD, my initial thought is he's tortured her for a long time, and his wife finally gets revenge and decides, I'm going to poison my husband slowly. And he died an agonizing death from whatever black poison she decided to make.
According to
that was near the bedside.
It was the day. It said 1820. So it said he was found near death, but he died. He's found near death, 1820.
And then he died when?
It said December 20th he died. So I don't really know exactly when he was poisoned and what year he died, but he ended up dying. So whether it was from the poison, I think it was. So, but that's a good theory. Why would the wife want to kill him though?
Because he beat her?
If it wasn't the ghost, yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is true. This is a good theory.
Maybe they said it was the ghost, or she's saying it's a ghost because she's afraid to, say that her husband's beating her.
But that doesn't also exclude the witnesses that heard it when they went to the house.
True.
And at the 1800s,
what if he's possessed with a demon?
That's another good theory. And at the 1800s, you have no way of doing...
Demon means, in these days, he's just a schizo.
True. Multiple split personality syndrome. Mm-hmm. Now, does the haunting end after John Bell dies?
Does it continue?
After John Bell's death, the activity slowed down. By 1821, the witch said that she was leaving but would return in 7 years. According to some accounts, the entity did return in 1828, this time visiting John Bell Jr., engaging in deep conversations about the afterlife and spiritual matters before leaving again. So she came back. Hey, I killed your dad, but let's have a conversation about the afterlife, And there was no reports that anything crazy happened except having these conversations with his son, John Bell Jr. Some versions of the legend claim the witch promised to return again 107 years later, number 7, in 1935. And while there are scattered claims of strange happening in the Bell family line, nothing as dramatic as the original events were ever recorded. Today, the Bell Witch is considered one of the best-known hauntings in American history. The Bell Witch Cave and reconstructed Bell Cabin in Adams, Tennessee, are tourist attractions. So it's reconstructed. Don't know if it's the original or not. It's a tourist attraction where visitors report strange feelings, unexplained sounds, and paranormal activity. The Bell Witch has inspired documentaries, Hollywood films, TV shows, and the American Haunting of the Blair Witch Project. The movie got its idea from the Bell Witch. Partially got its idea from the Bell Witch.
Just like a random witch in the woods.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they went to the woods, and that's what was going on with the Bell Witch. Now, you give me your skeptic final thoughts on that, and I'll give you what I think as a paranormal believer.
So, I think it's a combination of lore, like people who live in the area over the years, adding their spin, their take to the story. Like, there are certain things that you read that kind of raised a red flag for me, like certain instances of lore that can't be substantiated. So the witch came back to have a conversation, etc. And it's like, where did we get this information? Was it directly from the sun? Was it from a witness? Like, how do we know the witch came back? How do we know she said she was going to come back in, was it 7 years?
7 years and then 107 years.
And then 107. So, like, who created that lore? Did she say that? Who heard her say it? You know, where did that lore come from is what I want to know. So when you can start to pinpoint all those little things and figure out where the lore comes from, then you can kind of like really piece together a story. But like you said, this is like a story that there's not too much of a backstory to go off of where this witch originated from. Like, was she the person that they took the land from, or was this some kind of demon entity that's already lived on the land that like they perched themselves there, and this demon was like, yo, you disturbed my random place in the woods? And so for me, that's kind of like strange. It's like, are entities and demons just hanging out in certain corners of the world, and then when we inhabit them, they're just like, whoa, why are you here? You know, for me, that's like, I don't know. There has to be something that originates. I would believe more in something transpiring that human beings have done that's like evil, and that energy kind of like lingers around and stays. Like, right, like somebody commits a murder and then that person isn't found. Maybe that person that you know becomes the entity because they're trying to get revenge, or maybe the person that committed the murder is so evil that their energy, when they pass on, lingers around, and they're the demon. You know what I mean? I can kind of like somewhat understand, but just like a random force moving into the middle of the woods, and then all these things start happening. Like, what is the catalytic point in which these events started occurring? There has to be like a starting event that catapult, because they were fine. They were living there for how many years? You said like a decade.
Yeah, he was fine for a while, and this started happening like almost 10 years later.
They were just chilling, and all of a sudden there's ghosts in the sheets. You know what I mean? That's strange.
All right, so I'll be the non-skeptic here, because when we have I like to be a skeptic. I don't like to say things are real right away, and I'm not saying this is real.
But like for the conversation's sake. As a deacon, you don't want to really talk about ghosts, and you don't want to really bring up anything that's demonic, because everything in that story sounds demonic. You want to avoid talking about anything demonic, and you don't want to have any of that talk in a house that's holy. So as a deacon, I'm not really sure what religion a deacon really is. You know, is it Christian? Is it Protestant? Probably Protestant at that time period, but you don't want to have that type of drama or that type of talk. And if you're doing well, he was a well-known farmer, he had a good family, there's really no reason to bring attention to yourself, especially with something like that. Now remember, like, yeah, it's not going to bring you money and fame or recognition back then.
During that time, if you were thought to have something wrong with you, like negative, or you were a witch, you know, years prior, maybe many years prior, up north on the east side, on the northeast coast of the United States in Salem, Massachusetts, they were fucking killing people for no reason.
Yeah.
These people weren't even witches. They were hanging them, they were burning them, they were stoning them. So you don't want to bring that attention. Like, we might have a demon in our house, because then the surrounding areas, these people came to actually indulge in what was going on. But, if you're in the wrong neck of the woods, they'll be like, you were burning your house down. Now you're homeless. So in my eyes, you bring the attention you don't want, things can happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, that Bell family. Did you hear what happened with that Bell family? That Bell family, something's wrong with them. You know what I mean? In my eyes, I wouldn't want to have anything I wouldn't want the negative attention. The second thing is that if it is truly a demonic entity, once you let them in, they're in. And it's like everything that was in that story was telltale sign of demonic entity, tricking people that came there with things that they shouldn't, that it was listening to trick them in.
Or maybe demons seek out the living. You know what I mean?
A lot of times
they're chilling for 10 years. Some demon is just like wandering the earth, stumbles upon this family, and is like, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to fuck with them.
Yeah, well, that's their job, is to, and usually they do it to happy, unknowing families. That family was happy. They moved from North Carolina. Everything was peaches and cream, and they were messing with the kids. And when a ghost gets physical like that, now how the story actually translated to what we have today, that's where I agree with you on. Like even the Bible is one big game of telephone. It was written by many, not by one.
Yeah.
So you don't know whose story is correct, and you don't know exactly how we got to that point. There was legends added on. Keep bats, that was an added legend. People really didn't know about if he made a bad deal with someone, or the deal was made and he got the better end of the deal and that person cursed them. You don't know if that's just kind of added verbiage to everything. You know what I mean? So who absolutely knows? But the story has been known for many, many years now. It's been translated into movies and TV shows. So I just know when a story comes out, story's not from nowhere. Native American folklore, the skinwalker that I refer to, that's from Native American folklore. That's a story that started somewhere and translated and resonated with people to this day. There's tons of stories out there that started from somewhere. Now, did the game of telephone, make the initial story greater than what it is? No one will ever know. But the events of that house, everything that happened there, we've heard these before.
Yeah.
In newer occurrences, in matter of fact, in some of like the movies that we've seen today, we've heard of these things happening.
Like Amityville, how they said that the Amityville house is built on some kind of Indian burial ground.
Yeah, well, that's a common thing.
And I think that turned out to be a myth. I don't even think that house is built on Indian burial ground.
That came out to be a myth. I don't think that's actually. I don't really buy into the Amityville horror house.
And they put it in the movie and everything. I guess Hollywood's got to like spice things up a little bit.
They made books, and the owner of the person that everything happened to, the second owners of the house, he wrote all these books, and he was writing stuff and publicizing it, making money, like a bank off of it. But it all comes from somewhere, and a lot of stuff that were in the Bell Witch story is some of the other stuff that we've seen in the recent years with other paranormal occurrences.
Yeah.
Now, when we get into the Appalachian...
Would you live in that house, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Amityville?
Yeah.
There's people that died in there.
So?
Pretty gruesomely.
People died everywhere. When we go to Pelham Bay Park and do that trail...
Yeah, you haven't been that's a good point. But
you haven't been to that trail yet, but I
don't live in Pelham Bay Park.
So,
you know what I mean?
So check this out. First off, we're going to have a bye week.
We're going to do a poll. Would you guys live in the Amityville horror house or the Bell Witch cabin?
I got to take you to the trail. We're going to have a bye week. So if you want to get some steps in next week, I got to take you over that trail. You haven't been there yet, right?
Where?
The Orchard Beach Trail?
No, I've done it.
So it's a nice trail, but there's literally tales of Native Americans and Revolutionary War soldiers that had battle there and died there. You don't know where you walk that people have passed away.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? It could be anywhere.
I mean, you walk on 8th Avenue, people die on 8th Avenue all the time.
This is true. This is very, very true. So I just think some of these stories do come out of pocket through the game of telephone. But the Bell Witch story is some of the stories that we hear today. You know what I mean? There's houses with these occurrences all the time recently. More documented. more in modern times where we have documentation in cases. There's 911 reports, cops going into houses and seeing and hearing things.
Speaking of 911, did you see that? What was it? A funeral home that was abandoned called 911, and they sent cops out to the abandoned funeral home.
Oh yeah,
to find out what was going on. I listened to the recording. It's kind of like it's pretty eerie. It sounds like there's somebody on the other end, and they're like. And the 911 reporters or operators like, hello.
When I edit this, I am so zooming into your face when you did that. I could meme the shit out of that, just so you know. When I could place in place of the microphone.
Oh, don't do that. I'm never touching this microphone again.
It is endless what I can do. No, I've actually heard. I've heard a 911 call the other day. Someone was driving, and he was like, "Yeah, I just saw a man." It was near some memorial park somewhere in the United States. I just saw a man. He looked like he was bleeding, and then he's on the phone with the operator, and actually it was in Texas. And the sheriff was listening to the 911 call. And he's like, "Yeah, this is an actual 911 call that came in," and they were playing it. And he's just like, "I just saw a man bleeding from the chest," and then you hear him driving, and of course the operators are asking these questions, like instead of getting to the point and sending help, after they asked where he was, they were asking an aimless question. Then all of a sudden you hear, boom, and he's like, "It's on my car, and it's not human. It's on the bed of my truck." And he's like really shaken up, and you hear whatever it was that jumped into the bed of his truck in the back of his truck. And the sheriff was just retelling the 911 call about how he heard it, and he was like, "Yeah, this was a genuine 911 call, and something jumped in his truck. You heard it bang on his truck, and then he said he put the lights on the tail bed of the truck, and it jumped off. But he yelled, it wasn't human, and you can hear it in the 911 call. He's like, "That's not human."
Oh,
scary. So again, just because you can't see them doesn't mean they don't exist.
I got a good one. I used to do something with my mom on Halloween and my friends. My mom was weird. She's into Halloween, like a lot of my family is. I feel like the only one who I'm like, I'm indifferent about Halloween. But we used to do, and I guess she came up with the idea. We used to play manhunt, and she goes, "Why don't we do a horror hunt?" We're like, "What are you talking about?" So every year we used to go and we used to play manhunt in the old St. Raymond Cemetery. And one year, I forget who I grabbed, but you know how you grab them and you got to do manhunt 1, 2, 3, and I did that, and I let go of it might have been my friend Dorian. I let go of him, and there was a guy standing right there. I don't know if it was like the caretaker of like the but he was like, it was super eerie. This guy had some long hair. I'll never forget forget him, but like the clothing was just very dark black. I couldn't really figure out what he was wearing. I couldn't really see him all that well either, because it's super dark in the cemetery with the street lights kind of like peering into the cemetery slightly. So you do get a visual of everybody, sort of, but it's dark, and you got to be careful you don't trip over a tombstone or whatever. We probably shouldn't have been doing this, but
yeah, this doesn't sound like something I would do. and you told me, you want to go to that house? Meanwhile, you're telling me a story about playing manhunt in the cemetery. So go ahead,
it was kind of fun though. But he goes, "You're disturbing the peace," and we were like, just. Like instantly, like not even a sorry. We're just like, because I couldn't get anything out. I was like, "Oh fuck, I don't know is this a dead person or like." That's exactly what I thought while he said that. And like in retrospect, thinking about it, it might have been, I guess, the groundskeeper or the person who does the graveyard shift at the graveyard.
So the groundskeeper just randomly appeared in front of you,
maybe
with long black hair and in a black outfit, and just said, You're disturbing
the peace. And we booked it out of there. I
don't want to hear you say no when we go to the Hinsdale house.
No. But this is different. I was like fucking.
I never heard this story,
I was like 14,
by the way. Just so you know, the guy who has not come to the cemeteries in New York or anything recently, it just told me a story that he played manhunt at a cemetery.
Initially, it wasn't my idea, so
it was his mom's idea.
Yeah,
that's a cool mom.
Yeah, she's a little crazy.
It's okay. We all have a little craziness in us.
Yeah.
Well, that was the Bell Witch story and lore of the infamous Bell Witch of Tennessee. And the cave, I don't even know where the cave comes from. That's another thing that got added. That's where she stayed when she wasn't tormenting.
Were there
John
caves
Bell.
in Tennessee?
Yeah, of course there are. Tons of caves, I guess. You know, it's
So we got to go pinpoint the location.
I don't think
and then
anything-
look for the caves.
I don't think there's anything in that cave.
No.
No, and I don't do caves.
No, you don't do
No,
caves.
I don't do caves.
So now he doesn't do caves.
And you're going inside, and where do caves usually take you?
Down.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
No,
No.
not doing caves. No.
I'm just saying, like, maybe like in the very front of the cave. Just
Yeah,
like, hey, is there anybody in there?
I'll give a peek in. But that's about.
Remember Titanic?
I knew you were gonna go. I knew it. That was like my. As soon as you said it like that, is there anyone in there? I knew like, remember Titanic? Is there anyone out there? I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. I should have said
Can
it.
anyone hear me?
Can anyone hear me? I knew it was coming. I know you too well. I know it too well.
All right.
On the first try. Yeah, man. But you know what? If we ever do go exploring caves, before we do that, you know what we got to do? How You Brewing Cafe in Tuckahoe, New York has the best coffee that can get you through your cave diving adventures and finding bell witches wherever you want, with over 15 flavors of iced coffee and of course their house blend, which is hot. Tons of treats inside the glass where you can eat there or take it on the run and have your coffee on the go. How You Brewing Cafe in Tuckahoe, New York is the place to go for your coffee and your cup of joe. So head over to How You Brewing Cafe in Tuckahoe, New York. I just popped it up on the screen so you can see where it's at in their Instagram page. There you go. It is a different name on Instagram, but it is called How You Brewing Cafe for clarification. And of course, a big thank you for letting us talk about the Bell Witch and all you out there. All made possible by Spotify for Creators. If you don't know about Spotify for Creators, it's the free app that allows you to get your podcast idea
Out there.
So if you have a phone, tablet, or computer, head over to Spotify for Creators to get started. Joey?
You're getting kind of sickeningly good at that.
You know what, man? If I'm going to be good at anything in life, it's going to be
It's gonna
reading
be this.
prompts. Yeah, it's going to be this. That's about it.
All right.
All right. But that has been another episode of the Say What Again, Billy podcast.
All right.
Anyone out there?